The great thing about having the story by the month kits in digital format as well as physical is that you can use the digital kit to plan out what you're going to do with the physical kit. So here I'm measuring the chipboard pieces so that when I'm working on the photo and journaling in Photoshop, I can move the digital chipboard pieces around in the correct size to know where I'm going to put them and how I need to size my photo. Now, when I was working on this, it turned out that 1 inch was perfect for this photo. So when I took this photo of my daughter, there were natural grooves in the wall behind her, and I thought that they would make a really fun home for some journaling and embellishments. So I measured the actual chipboard pieces. They were 1 inch wide. Some of them, like that one, are I think a ½ inch high. So I set my measuring whatever at 1 inch by 1 inch and went through and sized them all to the size of the actual chipboard pieces. And then my photo is 9 by 12. And so I knew when I moved these pieces around on the layout that it would look just the way that it will look in real life. And so it gave me a chance to really visualize the layout and not be moving the pieces around later and saying, oh, I wish this was bigger or smaller or whatever. And actually, when I did this, and I'm doing this again because I accidentally deleted the original video, so I'm doing this again, but I had actually started with the text. So I had done the journaling and then did the embellishments later. So here I'm just putting some pretend text in to kind of give the idea of how I did it. So I sized different stories of my daughter and put them in the different rectangles. And shorter stories went in the smaller sections and longer ones went in the longer. And the wall is at a slight angle, so I had to move the text to fit within it just slightly. And I kind of am staggering, everything so that it's kind of in a balanced format. And I left in the end, some of the rectangles had nothing in them. Some of them had embellishments. It was just kind of a playful type layout. And then this stamp from the stamp set, I also measured it and it's 1.25 inches high. So I made that the size, and that also worked perfectly to fit in the grooves in the wall. And I wasn't sure what color I wanted to stamp it. So again, this is a great opportunity to practice some colors before you actually ink the stamp. So I thought, well, I'll try the pink, I'll try the red. And it turned out in the end that I really just liked the black the best, which works out perfectly because the only stays on inks that I have are black and brown. So here I'm moving the actual chipboard pieces around on the layout so when I printed out the photo, it just had the text, and then I'm moving the chipboard around. And I think in the end, I actually ended up stamping the stamp there a little bit different than I had sort of plotted it out in my head in Photoshop. And, with inking and stamping, you never really are going to get a perfect image each time. And so, that's part of the art of stamping. Some of the stamps were darker, some of them were lighter, and that's just kind of part of the fun. So, but as I was looking at the layout, I just kind of felt it like, where do I think this needs to go for balance? And I don't think that it was what I had originally planned. So here I'm just adhering down the little chipboard pieces. I love the way all the colors worked together here. And this is a September themed kit, and this photo I took in July. So just because they are themed by month doesn't mean you have to tell stories about that particular month. And I even used some leaves, the wooden leaves that come with the kit. And she's holding a little leaf in her hand, so I thought that's kind of cute, but there's no rule to say that you can't use leaves in July. And I was really excited. I saw Amy Gretchen had the great idea to take those wooden embellishments and sort of dab them in the crafter's ink, which is perfect, kind of acts like a paint because it's so pigmented. And so I end up doing that with the wooden pieces you'll see in a second. And I just grabbed some of the crafter's ink that I have that matches some of the colors that are already in the layout. I really like the way that repeated stamp worked. And I love the way that wall is. That's a wall at my husband's work. I might use that again in the future to tell more stories because it's really fun, that kind of natural built-in pattern. There, I'm taking time to clean my stamp. I always clean my stamps right after I use them. I feel better if everything's just clean and back in its place while I'm working. It's just how I roll. So here I'm just kind of moving them around and getting a sense of where I want them. And I had a large word there, love, that I've been hoarding for a long time. And Ali posted recently about using those things that we've been hoarding. So I thought this is the perfect time. It fits perfectly. So I decided to finally use it. And some of those leaves, well, actually just one, sort of transcends the lines within the photo, because everything sort of fits in its perfect little box. And then all of a sudden the word love and that leaf comes along and sort of crosses those boundaries. But I really like how playful this is, and I like how it turned out a lot. So I hope that you'll try some of these techniques and feel inspired by this kit.